Good morning to you. You have been skeptical about Bryce Young from the start. Are you now ready to say he's a bust?
No. Look, first and foremost, Skip, I'll never use the word bust because you worked your tail so hard in college or high school, whatever the case may be, to put yourself in a position to be an NFL football player, NBA guy, Major League Baseball, so on and so on. So I'll never deem someone a bust. Is he the best quarterback in his class? No, he's not. Was he ever going to be the best quarterback in his class, in my opinion? No. And I'm not hating on Bryce Young. It's just not my flavor. There's a lot about his size, his arm strength, his ability to escape the pocket and get away from people on a consistent basis that I personally just don't like. Now, given that, he doesn't have a lot around him. There aren't major playmakers at the receiver position. No. They're so-so on the offensive line. The defense isn't as dominant, but it's an okay defense. So the team needs some makeup. 2 years from now, ask me, is he going to be successful in the National Football League? Do I ever think he's going to be one of these top 4 or 5 quarterbacks that we talk about every single year? No, I don't. I am very skeptical of size. I watched this game from the beginning to the end, okay? And if the lanes aren't open and he can't see it, he's in trouble. If he's not on the perimeter, he can't see it, he's in trouble. It was almost 2 costly interceptions last night that he gave the Chicago Bears, but guess what? They play defense for a reason, because they can't catch, okay? They cannot catch, and we continue to say that all the time about defensive backs and linebackers. They just can't catch the football. If you can catch the football, I remember Tony Dungy used to say this to our defensive guys all the time when they played against Brett Favre. Just catch the ball, man, you good. He gonna give you 3 or 4 every single time. You just gotta catch it. And that's kind of what I look at with Bryce Young because of his size. You know, he got sacked last night by the goal line. They barely touched him. That dude barely touched him. If that's a bigger, stronger quarterback, he comes out of that. He'll lose that. So it's just his size is what I don't like. I like his grittiness, his toughness. He got hit a few times. He stayed in there, Skip. But in the end, it's not for me.
Yeah, and we're in a game now where we want to see right now success from the quarterback. And when you're the #1 pick, especially, we want to see right now success. And it used to be difficult. It used to be difficult for quarterbacks, even more difficult because they were asking quarterbacks to fit into the NFL systems. Now what we're seeing is early success because they're taking the quarterback's talent and fitting a system around that quarterback's talent. Yeah, that's what they tried to do in Arizona. It's what they're trying to do right now in Indy with Anthony Richardson and that young talent. Now, Bryce Young, I won't call him a bust either. I think he's a very talented quarterback that we need to be a little patient with. I remember, and whenever I deal with a first pick, first thing I think about is Troy Aikman, because we watched this. Yep, we both watched Troy go through the rigmarole. Right, there were people saying the same thing about Troy Aikman.
It was a long, hard year, man.
Like there's no way this kid is going to make it in the National Football League. So I went, Troy's first best game was week 10. Week 10, Troy threw for 379 yards, 2 TDs, passing TD and 2 interceptions.
But you lost.
But we lost. But we lost.
15.
We're 1-15.
And
We didn't lose that one. We lost them all.
And Steve Walsh won the
one. Steve Walsh won the one. Yeah. Troy didn't even win the one. And there were people ready to get rid of Troy. But you know, Troy had I would look in the season and Troy had a cook game week 10. I focused on that one game. Like, that's what he could be. Tua a couple years ago, same thing. I remember doing the game in Miami. They were like, we got to get rid of Tua. We have to get rid. I said, everybody calm down. Let's relax. Let's wait. Wait till get the players around him and get a system that really fits him. Remember, they were doing all the interchanging things with Ryan Fitzpatrick at the time. They were ready to get rid of him. Calm down, slow down, look at them now. I'm going to say the same thing with young Bryce Young here. Calm down, slow down. Let's give him some time. 10 targets to Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen. They sat him out by the trash can and
They
said,
did.
you get out of here,
They
you're
did.
done.
That is correct.
You're done. That's his number one target, is Adam Thielen. So let's slow down, guys, till we get this guy. So he left Alabama. I could imagine what he must be saying sometimes in the locker room. My locker room in Alabama is better than this locker room in the NFL. That's what he's probably saying. And we want to get rid of him. I'm sure he wants to get rid of that whole squad. He got to get his Alabama squad in here. So let's stop playing and get his kids some time. I think Frank Wright is a great coach. I'm not putting anything on Frank Wright. I think Frank Wright's a great coach. You just got to get this man some talent. You got to get him some talent around him. Chicago Bears had a much better team. You put that talent Chicago has on Carolina, I say he's playing better right now.
Okay. I appreciate what Keyshawn started off saying because he's been resolute in his view of this smallish man, and it's his stature that sticks in your craw first and foremost, because he's not only short, but he's slight. So you got sort of double jeopardy there, although he has been incredibly, remarkably durable at Alabama and so far in pro football.
See, when you say durable, though,
Yeah,
I'm not worried about him getting hurt.
A lot of people are.
I'm not worried about the hurt part. He's been small his entire football career, whether it was Pop Warner through college. My thing is, it's easy to bring him down. It's easy, that's the sort of stuff.
I got it. Okay. I remain, as does Michael, bullish on Bryce Young. I believe he's going to turn into a very good NFL starting quarterback over time, but you're going to have to give him time because he is arguably stuck in the worst case scenario in the National Football League right now. Because remember, last night, their two best defensive players did not play. Brian Burns and J.C. Horn did not play last night. So they're still decent on defense, but they're not what they were a year ago on defense. And on offense, his two best deep threats are Chenault and DJ Chark, and they didn't play last night. So it's Adam Thielen or bust, or thrown to that Mingo kid that they drafted in the second round out of Ole Miss. And I'm going to get to that in just a moment.
And those other names you mentioned this.
I mean, come on. So they put up a great graphic last night on Amazon Prime where they showed the last 5 number 1 overall picks and how they started off in the NFL. And every one of them started off 1-6, 0-7, 1-5. It's just what happens. It's Peyton Manning leading the league in interceptions as a rookie. Jalen Hurts. I was the biggest fan of Jalen Hurts. I said Philly stole him in the second round, but I had to come sit in this chair for 2 straight years. I'm not talking about a couple of months. I'm talking about 2 straight years and defend Jalen Hurts just the way I'm defending Bryce Young right now, because he had some horrendous games his first 2 years where I was told from across the desk, he's a bust. He just can't throw. He can't. He's not accurate enough to make it in the National Football League. He fixed that, and now you can argue he's at least a top 10 quarterback. I can make a case Jalen Hurts is now a top 5 quarterback. Okay, so what did we see last night? It's fits and starts. It's bits and pieces, little flash here and a little flash there. So, Keyshawn, you say he can't move the way you want him to move, but early on in that first drive, he ran for 2 first downs, and
Nice
that was
run.
pretty
Nice
impressive.
run. Nice run.
If we could see the first one.
And he was slip and run. They were slip runs.
This is 3rd and 7. This is the first one at their 23.
Right.
So this is a little
Right up.
do or die. You got to figure this
Right up
out.
the middle,
And he
right.
bolts and he slips between. And okay, it's not great.
And he
but
went
it's
head
pretty good.
first to get that first down.
Okay,
So that
here's the
means
other
he got
make
courage.
you miss. Make you miss.
That's
He made
right.
the safety miss. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with
Yep.
that, though, Skip.
Okay.
How many times throughout the course of the season do you want to see him do that, though?
Okay.
That
I got it.
There's a reason in the National Football League the triangle numbers matter.
Okay.
Height, weight, size, and speed.
Okay.
There's a reason smallish quarterbacks
I understand.
don't.
You got me.
Okay, I'm just
You
saying,
got
there's
me.
a reason.
But the one thing I did like about that part right there was that was the time for him to go head first. The other time he slid, he was
He
smart,
did.
he was
No,
smart.
he's a smart
But that
football
was a
player.
first down that needed to get a first
He's
down
extremely
and give this
smart.
team
He's
some
extremely a
confidence. So I
smart
liked him
football
doing
player.
that.
His arm strength is at least, you got to give it above average, and he is deadly accurate when he sets his feet and throws
He's
the
an
football.
anticipation
He is.
thrower.
I got it.
Anticipatory,
So
right.
let's see the one big-time throw that he made. It was late in the first quarter. It's a 45-yarder to that kid Strawn. He's a former 7th-round pick who's bounced around, but he just sat and he fired deep out, and he hit him. Okay,
I'll take that throw all day long.
My godson right
I
there.
take that throw. It's clean.
Okay, all right.
Michael
He
right
stepped
there.
into it.
Yep.
Clean.
Okay, I got it. So then we get to the fourth quarter, and my man Kirk Herbstreit, who's doing the commentary, he knows he is a fan also of Bryce because he did so many of his games at Alabama. You saw it again and again and again at the highest level of college football. I got it. College football. It's SEC football. But again and again in the fourth quarter, he came up as clutch as you can come. He got better and better as the game got deeper and deeper toward a photo finish. And last night, you could hear Kirk's voice. He's saying, I'm not saying he's going to do it, but boy, I've seen him do it a bunch of times. So in the fourth quarter, he came alive, and he did hit 10 out of 15 for 81 yards, and he had 2 drops in the fourth quarter. I'm going to give you the late throw where he got deeped, where the linebacker sat down like he was going to rush the passer and then dropped and zone blitzed him and almost picked him. But the point was, yeah, what's that? He can't catch. I know. Okay, I got you. But the point was, deep in that game, he finally had one throw to the Mingo kid, and he was really good at Ole Miss, but he's Michael Irvin. He's bigger than you. He's 6'2.5", 220, so he's not what you call a deep threat. So Mingo goes deep. It's the 2nd and 10 throw before the field goal. If we can see the deep throw, this is the game to me. It's going to be make or break. This is all you got. But it's not Chark, and it's not Chenault. And he just overthrew him a little bit. He tried to lead him, but the kid's not. He's not a threat. He's not a burner. He ran 4.5. Okay.
I don't think he overthrew him. I just think the kid didn't know how to track the football.
He couldn't find the football.
He couldn't track it.
Okay, I got you.
That was a good throw.
I got you. So that's the game. Just for the sake of argument here, if you complete that pass, we might be having a different conversation because it's probably going to go to overtime. If not, you're going to win the game because he's won a lot of games like that. And I've seen him come up big. Remember, when he played C.J. Stroud, he outplayed him. He threw for 235 and a touchdown.
I get it. They beat him.
And C.J. threw for 140 and no touchdowns.
I understand this.
All right. So you did get to see. It's a glimpse. It's an early glimpse. But the last thing I'm going to do is write him off just yet.
Right.
Because he's stuck behind an offensive line that it's not very good. And they have a hard time. Would they end up running the ball last night?
I don't think you should write him off at all.
Okay,
There's no.
So they're 25th in rushing. So they can't. It's not like Deontay Foreman, who used to be with Carolina. He was on a mission last night for the Bears, and he banged away, and he got him in the end. Right? He scored the winning touchdown.
There's no way you write him off. My entire assessment of Bryce Young's situation is his size and his ability over a long stretch, 17, 18, 19 weeks, to give you what you're looking for. Yeah. That's the only problem. And when I look at the history of the league, and don't give me no Drew Brees and no Russell Wilson, I want to hear that. I'm just talking about the history of the league, 100-plus years. There's a reason that the smaller quarterback struggles in the National Football League. They can't see over the offensive line. And you say, well, why don't they get shorter offensive linemen? That make a lot of sense. Well, no, people will actually say that. They will say get shorter offensive linemen so guys like that can see over. Now, all of a sudden, I got bigger defensive linemen against your smaller offensive linemen. That's not going to work. Okay. That's not the league. I do believe in Frank Reich, one of my old teammates and quarterbacks that taught me a lot about the National Football League my rookie year. I do think he can get him there. Do I think that it's going to go in the direction in which the Carolina Panthers organization is hoping? I don't know. I'm skeptical of smaller guys. Even to a situation, people, as much as he's come back and he's shown us 2 straight years, at the beginning of the season, he's been on the MVP list. High. And then all of a sudden, it starts to do a little bit of this now. And now people have their reservations again.
And yet Tua weighs, I don't know, 215, 220? I think he does.
He's a thicker guy, much thicker guy.
And by the way, Kyler Murray is coming back Sunday. And he's a short,
smaller.
He's small, but he's built stout.
Yes.
He's got some stature to him that Bryce, I give you, does not have.
I just, when I looked at the sack last night, at the back of the end zone when they're backed up.
I got it.
He tries to escape, and the dude just, it's like,
Well,
I'm
as Herb Street said last night, he thinks he weighs about 185-ish, somewhere in that ballpark.
And I love that Herb Street during the game because he has that history during college, and he can bring things into light for a lot of us when he does these games, because he watches so much college football. I also, when I looked last night, if it was Justin Fields on the other side, that's one thing. Bryce Young was going up against this kid, Badgin, and then this kid ends up winning the game. You're the first pick. All of that stuff plays a role.
Why do you and I think alike? I tried to stay away from that.
I know.
I tried to stay. I didn't want to. When Skip went C.J. Stroud on me, I was going to go there, Michael, and I just stayed out of it.
But that's what, like that. Right, because that's what people are saying when they see, you the first pick, you shouldn't be losing. But you got to look at the team around.
No, he doesn't have anything.
If Bryce had that team in Chicago, I believe he'd be doing much better.
Yeah.
He has a receiver there. We talk about it all the time. Some of the best quarterbacks in here. The Josh Allens, get him a receiver.
Yeah.
So now we come to this kid, and we're not even mentioning that kind of stuff. So that's all I'm saying. Let's just be a little bit patient.
No, I'm patient with it. I'm used to bigger guys at the quarterback position.
Okay, I got it. But just for the record, you can scoff at the stat that I love, QBR, but the QBR off last night's game had Bryce Young at a 57, 50 is average, and Tyson Bagent was 47. So he outplayed him by 10 QBR points because I think that was about right. That made sense to me. Now, was it a great game by either? No, it wasn't. Was it a kind of a miserable football game overall? Until the end, when it got, I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, Bryce needed one more throw, and instead they got stuck with a 59-yard field goal, and you knew what was coming.
I think I would have went for it on 4th and 10.
Yeah, well, you could argue, yeah.
Me personally, because on 3rd down, he almost threw the pick, I probably would have gone for it on 4th and 10 and have given him a shot. Because 59, man, I don't care who. You could be the best kicker in the history of the NFL, and 59 is a long ways, man. It's a long ways.
Especially in that stadium. It's just hard to kick there. It's notoriously hard, and the winds just sort of swirl off the lake, and they never seem to go the same direction. And it's just hard to guesstimate where to start the kick, and it never had him. I think it was 10 yards short.
Yeah, it was short. That's for sure.
All right. So the biggest picture on Bryce Young is I think he will just get a little better and a little better. But again, when we talk about busts, Keyshawn, you opened up and you said, well, there are no busts because they all, they work their tails off to get there.
Yes, absolutely.
But when we look back, my friend Ryan Leaf, I think most people would say that was a swing and miss.
But here's what I would say about that. His talent was a swing and miss because the Hall of Fame general manager was torn in the middle of the night whether he was going to go Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf.
Yep.
But he looked at the brain, and he said, nah, I'd rather go Peyton Manning's brain than Ryan Leaf's brain. So Ryan Leaf's situation is a little bit different than Bryce Young's.
Yep.
Bryce Young's is the success rate, right? Well, as I always say, young quarterbacks, what do you have around them, okay, as far as personnel goes? Is he in the right situation and organization to put him in the best position to succeed?
Yeah.
Now, that reservation is still out there about Carolina. As much as we like Frank and Jim Caldwell and everybody that they got on the staff and Deuce Staley and everybody, does not matter if you don't have the players around you.
You got to get the players. They have good coaches. You got to go get some good players.
And if you stay stuck, as you know, Skip, not having good players around him, and you say, let's give him 2 years, 3 years, guess what will happen in 3 years? They'll be talking about drafting another guy because they won't look up and see that they don't have players around them.
No, listen. They got young talent on that team. You mentioned it, like a young J.C. Horn.
When they come back.
When he comes back. So now what you're doing is you got a young quarterback. You go find more young talent and let that grow together.
Right.
When we started at 1-15, that next year we were 3-13. Then the following year we're 7-9. We were in the playoffs after that and then won Super Bowl. You just got to fight through that moment right there. Go and get some more young guys to put with those young guys. You get a nucleus on offense, nucleus on defense of young guys. And those guys set the pace of how everything goes in practice. And anybody that comes on this team is going to practice and play this way, or you're going to pat your toes and get the hell out of here. That's what you tell
How many teams, better yet owners, Skip, is going to wait to go 1-15 3-16 or whatever it is, and then 7 How many?
Not
They
today.
not.
Right,
They
right.
just not today.
No, not
They
today.
gonna go crazy.
But I hope they get rid of front offices before they get rid of players on that football field. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Last quick story about Ryan Leaf ahead of that draft. I was close to a coach that you played for, Paul Hackett, your first year in
Yep.
Dallas. And I think, Keyshawn, do you know Paul? He was the head coach at
I
USC.
know
Okay,
Paul.
all right. Dennis Thurman was on that staff, close friend of mine. You know him very well. He
Oh, yeah.
recruited you, I
Oh, yes.
believe,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So they loved Ryan Leaf because Ryan Leaf had come to the Coliseum and just gunslung them. He just played, he played like a linebacker playing quarterback, and he dominated, what was it then? Was it the Pac-10? I think it was still the
Yeah,
Pac-10.
Pac-10. Yeah, Pac-10.
But he dominated the conference, but he was out of Washington State. So he got no media exposure when he was, at home until he got to San Diego. And then all of a sudden the world is saying, oh, you're better than Peyton Manning. And he couldn't cope with the media pressure got to him. And he had all kinds of off the field issues going on, and it all magnified into bust, right? Okay, so that was the last time I listened to a coaching staff tell me, I try to just do my own eye test because he was really good at Washington
No,
State.
he was as I said,
Ryan was good.
It had nothing to do with his arm talent.
I got
it had
it.
something to
I
do with
got
his
it.
brain.
Right. But Skip brought up a lot of things too. Now they put a lot of pressure on him when he was quiet.
Yeah.
He was hiding over there quiet, and then they laid this man right next to Peyton Manning.
They did.
That's a hard.
It's hard to live up to.
That was right. That was hard to live up to. And Ryan's doing great now.
is.
He is doing great. He's real open about everything that
is.
he's gone through.
Thank you.
And I love that he's doing that. The Bible tells us, confess one ye to another, pray one ye for the other. In this we shall find healing, and he is helping people heal. I like that.
Amen, brother. Thank you. Up next,
Get on out of here.
49ers. Remember those guys? They've
Maybe
been on a
you.
bye week, but are they now
They
on their way
was
across the country to their fourth straight defeat? We debate next.
I love my dude.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.